We going live, bro. We going live.
We're
Look at
live.
that. We're live. We're
We're
live and
live.
in charge on both platforms.
We're
That's
live. We had to.
Facebook and YouTube.
That's right.
Crazy. So
You
much.
already know we had to chop it up.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We had to talk about
We're
it.
a little later than we would like to be
Mm-hmm.
on this
Mm-hmm.
one. Denison and I had a lot to catch up on off camera.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all good stuff. And so, yeah, also want to say real quick, shout to the new followers, shout to the new subscribers. Got a
Yeah.
couple of y'all on here, and
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate you guys checking us out. I know we've been growing on Facebook and on YouTube. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, yeah, really appreciate you guys giving us the time, jumping on the discussion with us in real time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Darian's on that notification gang. What's going on, my guy? So, yeah, man, I really wanted to say that right off the top that, we've been growing the following a little bit in recent
We
weeks,
have.
and
We have.
really appreciate that. So, thank you guys for jumping on the discussion with us. Remember, the point of these live streams is for you to jump in and discuss with us in real time. You get to shape the direction of the audio recording as we go. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start recording that actually while we're talking about it.
Yeah, might as well jump right into it, you know?
Yeah, I'm giving you all kinds of face action this time. Yeah.
Up
It
close
looks,
and personal, bro.
it looks a
That's what's
lot
good.
better, man. You know,
Yeah, I
back
think
here, it
so.
looked kind of like faded out, a little ghosty, you know?
Mm-hmm. But you get a little bit close. You get a little bit closer to the light.
Yeah.
You let it gleam on you.
Good
You know
leg
what? I'm gonna
of this oily.
change
Yeah.
the temperature of my
Okay.
light so it gives me more of a natural look. Now it looks like the
Natural
sun's
glow.
beaming. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. That's cool because I look a little pasty. So
Mm-hmm. So
yeah,
see, there you go. Look at
there you
that.
go.
Natural.
A little dark, but that's okay. Natural. All right, cool. All right, we're looking good now. All right, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hit this here. Right here. I'm gonna hit it hard. All right,
Go ahead.
so this week is definitely a week for you guys to jump in on the discussion with us in real time. For those listening on the audio platform, we are live streaming on Facebook and we are live streaming on YouTube as well. And we're doing a spooky Halloween edition because by the time, woo, I'm gonna have to dump the audio in somewhere. By the time that this goes live, um, it will be Halloween. So we're gonna talk
Mm-hmm.
about all the things spooky. First of all, are ghosts real?
Wow. A
I ain't talking
question
about
that
Casper.
has baffled many.
It stood the test of time. A lot of people. It's funny, man, because anytime you say now ghosts aren't real, bro, the people that believe it get very defensive.
Oh yeah.
Very defensive. So I'm hoping some of y'all are on the live stream on this one because we're going to talk about it and we want to know your opinion. We're also going to talk about our scariest real life spooky haunted stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have some real actual scary things that are they supernatural? Are they a sign from the afterlife? Actually, yeah, I mean, I genuinely have one that's like a haunting story for
Oh
real.
man.
Um, so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about anything else that comes up in the spirit of Halloween. So
Mm-hmm.
let's go ahead and get into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we
Scene.
go. Scene, yeah. All right, intro, take one. What's going on, everybody? I'm John. Dang it, we gotta do it again. Okay, okay. All right, let's try this again. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? I'm John,
And I'm Dennison.
and this is the catch up. Man, they always hits. Like I never have to edit that part. We always do it right when it's like bah, 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 bah. So perfect. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
um, okay, let's see here. Oh, I wanted to check something. Make sure I'm not giving y'all some weak 480p. Nope. We are live in
Yeah, yeah,
720.
you wanna be 720, man,
Yep.
720. It's sad that we can't get the full HD, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, if we're paying for it, we
I
will.
know. That's what I was gonna say. We gotta pay for an extra thing, you gotta pay for every dadgum thing.
I know, and we ain't got that kind of time. But you want to know something weird? I just noticed
Mm.
this. The
Would you do?
StreamYard logo is gone. It's usually in the top right corner to show that it, it's a free version. It says powered by StreamYard.
I still see it.
What in the world? Are you for real?
Yeah, I still see it. It's, right on my screen.
Wow,
It's,
it
in there,
is.
and if you're one of our YouTube, viewers, you'll also see it right in the corner. It's, oops, wrong way.
Whoa,
Oops,
that's
wrong way.
weird. I see it on the stream, but it's not on my thing. That is
See,
really
there it is,
strange.
right there.
Okay, I don't see that. That's weird. It's a spooky ghost story. Our
Yeah,
stream
there it
is
is.
haunted, dude. Oh my god. Okay, that
It's
makes
already
a lot.
started.
Yeah, it's already started. Okay, here we go. Three, two, one. Before we get in today's spooky topics, I want to let you
Mhm.
guys know three best ways to support us. Number one, jump on the live streams with us. Again, we are live stream on Facebook, live stream on YouTube. Just search our podcast title on either one. You can jump in the discussion with us every week on Thursday nights in real time. We welcome your comments. We welcome your thoughts, and you can shape the trajectory of this episode. Number two is leave a rate and review wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. Let us know what you think of each episode. It will help the algorithm know people are reacting to this show, and it will really help us continue to grow and know what we could do better. And number three, if you want to support us financially, check out our shop is linked down below. We have just in time for the cold weather, just in the nick of time, man. Just in the
Mhm.
nick of time. Couldn't have been timed
Mhm.
out better. We have
Exactly.
hoodies, we have beanies, we have hats, we have long sleeves, we got everything you need to stay warm and represent the Catch Up podcast through the winter. So that is linked in the description wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. Um, so with that said, man, let's let's tell some ghost stories, man.
Yeah, man, of course.
We'd again love to hear your guys' thoughts on these.
Exactly, and if you guys have any, you can share yours, as
Yeah,
well,
yeah, definitely.
in the
Okay,
comments.
leave it in the comments. So here's one. I'm a start off with probably the spookiest one. Okay, so
Okay, okay.
there are some real aspects of this that was genuinely scary. Um, I was dating this girl 5 years ago that loved this resort spa up in the Kansas City area, and we went
Mm,
there multiple times. To be honest, is amazing, and I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, which is just outside of Kansas City,
mhm,
and they had again a resort spa, and this place originally was built in like the 1880s, I want to say,
mhm,
and it burned down in like 1910, 1920. The whole structure was made of wood back then,
mhm,
so it all burned down. And the ghost story is that there's a spirit of like a janitor basically that
mhm.
walks the halls, and it's not haunting people, it just resides there, it lives there. Okay.
Yeah.
And so me being who I am, I'm like, nah, dog, that's not real, I'm not worried about it, classic first guy that gets killed in a horror movie type of approach.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no big deal, whatever. And I think it was either the first or second time, but we had a room there. I mean, again, this place is awesome for like $85 a night if you go on a night with a special. I mean, you get this nice room, you get a California king bed, you get,
Mhm.
the pool and the restaurant and the speakeasy. So there was a speakeasy that wasn't really a speakeasy, obviously, but they made it look like one.
Yeah.
And you walk in there, and it was right before closing time. So it was just us and the bartender, right? And this bartender is a total hipster, right?
Mhm.
He's like asking us, because he found out I was like really passionate about music. I didn't consider myself a musician at that time, but he found out I was like really into it. So he's like, just asking the most if I'm aware of the most stupid random bands. Like, have you heard of like Kumquat Squash or something like that? Like, just stupid made up names that probably are just like his friends, and only 5 people have ever listened to him before.
Yeah.
But it was super acid rock. Okay.
Mhm.
So very trippy sound. And he is like, well, since no one's here, he's like, I'll break out some stuff for you guys to try. Are you into spirits? And we were like, yeah, which is like if this were a horror movie, that'd be like a double entendre foreshadowing what's to come, right?
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so he gives us all different stuff. And I was like, cool, like some of it tasted good, some of it tasted weird. I remember one of them tasted like toothpaste, right?
Mhm.
And so one of them, he goes, have you ever heard of absinthe? Right.
Mhm.
Um, which I was like younger at that time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like, what is that? And so anyway, he explains it. And yeah, so he goes, it's actually banned in Europe or something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, something to that effect. Because people claimed that it makes him hallucinate, right? And
Mhm.
he's like, this
Mhm.
isn't going to make you do that. Or I don't even know if he actually specified that. He goes, but anyway, the makeup of this is kind of like absinthe, but it's not. And man, it tasted like garbage. It tasted terrible, right?
Mhm.
But I took a shot,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay. And dude, I honestly like, I don't know, man. One of two things happened. It either did make me hallucinate, and
Mhm.
he put like some LSD in that joint or something. But because the whole thing was just so trippy, man. Like, I remember I drank that.
Mhm.
We're sitting at this bar, and like, this is literally a classic horror movie setup, bro. Like, it literally is. He's playing this trippy music, and all of a sudden, I'm just like, this is all right. This is
Mhm.
really cool,
You're
man.
like, "Man, I'm actually feeling this," which is
Yeah.
weird.
Like, we're having fun and everything. So we start walking back,
Mhm.
and like, I remember like things started to get weird on the walk back with both of our moods.
Mhm.
And then like there was this white aura in the hall leading up to our door, right?
Mm.
And the girl I was with at the time, she started crying. She started like bawling her eyes out for absolutely no reason.
Mhm.
Because, well, she said something about the spirit's going to come and get us.
Mhm.
And then she opened the door, and I kid you not, I saw this like white glowing figure at the end of the hall, right? And I was like, I just was like, and I like looked in, because this is something I would do, of course.
Uh-huh.
I looked in, and I looked back out, and it's gone. And I was like, what's happening, right? And
Mhm.
so we go inside, and she's just like hysterically crying. It didn't make any sense. We went to bed, and we woke up next day, and everything was fine, right?
Mhm.
But man, that was creepy, because I'm like, did I see this because I was tripping on something? Like, what did this guy have us like a, they spike our drinks? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
I was thinking I was trying some rare liqueurs, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I don't even think we had to pay for like most of it. So I thought I was just doing like a rare liqueur taste test. But looking back on that, at the very least, even if that thing had not happened, whether I met that spirit or not,
Mhm.
that ghost or not, I, at the very least, that whole thing was sketchy, because you got these two 23-year-old kids, you yourself are in your mid 30s, you start playing trippy music, and then you ask them about an alcohol known to make people hallucinate. And he's
Mhm.
like, oh, well, it's kind of like that, but it's a little bit different. And next
That's
thing I know,
messed
I
up.
see a ghost, man. What if he himself was a ghost? I don't know, man.
I know. I know. You could have. I mean, hey, did you ever see him afterwards?
No, no, actually, that is a great fact. I did not see the bartender after that.
See, there you go.
And we
There's
spent like
already
2 more
something
nights there. Never saw him again.
suspicious, man.
Right.
Suspicious.
So is this like Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion? Like what like what's going on here? Um so Darian chimed in on the comments here. He says, "Mine isn't necessarily a ghost story, but when I was recently in the hospital, I swear I was seeing things that weren't really there. Long story short, I was coming down from the cocktail of drugs that they had me on. It had me hallucinating like crazy, which
Hmm.
that's scary enough in and of itself.
That is. That
Yeah.
is.
But and we'll get into this later with our discussion on our, our belief in the afterlife or the ghost afterlife.
Hmm.
But I always wonder that, man. I'm like, are these people on drugs when they claim they see these things? I actually
Yeah,
have
exactly.
I have a story that I think can back that up too that we'll get to.
Hmm.
Um so I only have one more haunted story that I can tell. And then I want to hear yours.
Yeah, of
But
course.
mine is a series of events where I ran into uh snakes multiple times.
Mm.
I was between the age of 19 and 20, so this is almost 10 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, but again, I was dating a different girl at this time
Hmm.
and had multiple run-ins with snakes. And probably probably the best one in hindsight was we were having a picnic, right? You remember this?
I
You remember me
remember this one.
Yeah. So it's just she and I. We were having a picnic. I was the absolute most beautiful day I have ever seen. And it was like a nice, cool breeze. It was like 74 in
Ooh.
Allen, Texas. And we're at this little forested area having a picnic. And I'm like, man, I'm 19. I mean, I feel good, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take my shirt off because I'm laying down.
Yeah.
Beautiful day, lay on this, mat, whatever. So I close my eyes and like not even a minute goes by, man. I'm closing my eyes, just chilling, stiff breeze comes through. I feel this thump on my stomach, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, what was that? And I open my eyes, I look, and there's a full snake on my stomach, bro. A
Oh my
whole
god.
snake. I'm not talking like a little baby snake. No, I'm talking this dude was like 3 to 4 feet long. Okay. And like, I don't want to say like not thick by snake standards, but still like probably about that thick. Okay.
That's pretty big. That's a
It's
pretty
pretty big.
decent sized snake right there.
Yeah. And I look and I'm like, oh, and I smack it off. One fell swoop, scoop that thing off, goes flying.
Hmm.
And I roll over and I'm like pushing her. I'm like, move, 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 move.
Yeah.
I hate snakes, bro. I do not like them. And so I'm like, move, go, 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 go. And I'm like pushing her, like, let's get out of here.
Hmm.
And she hates snakes too, but like I kept running into them with her. So I was like, who's really the culprit here? Oh, and so like she lets out an ear piercing shrill. I can't believe people didn't come trying to save us. Um,
Hmm.
I was like, oh my God, dude. And this thing like stayed there for a second, but then slithered away from us. And I think genuinely it fell asleep in this tree and the
Hmm.
wind knocked it out on my stomach.
Oh, and then it hit you, and then it was just kind of like
Yeah.
slowly waking up.
And you remember those trees out behind that rec center? They're like 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
dude fell a long way. And so, like, I was thinking, what are the odds? I've never seen that happen with a snake before, like, not even on the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
And like, the dude hung out the tree, but he never fell out of it. And what are the odds of it landing square on my stomach, just like curled, like all weaved in itself?
Hmm.
Because if it had landed half on and half off, I wouldn't
That
have been
would.
able to scoop it off me like that.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't have been able to get it off as easily.
No, if it had landed on my face, like,
Oh gosh.
like I would. I don't even want to think about it. So, anyway, I had like 2 more snake interactions with her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, really 3 came at one trip. But man, there was like one time I was walking through the forest
Mm-hmm.
at this trip we were on, and it looked like steps coming out from like nature steps, if you will, because it all looks
Yeah.
like tree roots.
Yeah.
And so I'm just walking along, and there's this, like, all of a sudden she stops, same ear piercing shrill, turns around, busts out of there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I look, and there's a Texas king snake. The head is right next to my ankle, dude. And I was like, I
Yep.
text,
Exactly. I'd be like, let me go.
yeah. So I'm sprinting out of there. I'm high stepping. I look like I just am gonna win the Heisman Trophy up in this thing. And like I get like 40 feet, 50 feet away from this dude. And I turn around. And I think it was asleep too. Like it comes out and then goes around. And like this whole pathway, let's say it's like 3 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is the head of this snake was back in the bushes on the side before the tail came out. Okay. That's how
Wow.
big this snake was. Now,
That is massive. Yeah.
they're supposedly harmless, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they just eat rats. But if I had stepped like half a foot over, I would have stepped right on this dude's head, bro.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then what would happen? I would have woke him up. His whole body would have like fishtailed, and I would be like,
Yeah. It would have
oh
been
my God.
jerking.
Yeah,
Yeah. It would have been bad. It would have been bad. He would have come chase after you.
probably. Probably. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, so I tell somebody this years later. I'm telling them like this and the other couple of stories. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, do you not think that that's weird that this girl that you were dating, do you not feel like that was a sign that the serpent kept popping up when you were with her? I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe. I hadn't thought about it that way. Um, but yeah, no, those are really my two. Definitely the one at the hotel. That was like kind of classic horror movie kind of vibes. And
Mm-hmm.
no one, like, other than me knowing the story, no one was putting that in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, stuff was weird. It was really weird. But yeah. So no, I want to hear yours, man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't really have too many, but I'll say there is one that I vaguely remember because I was probably like maybe 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but it was, and I actually think kind of like that's where my fear of the dark kind of started.
Okay.
It was we moved into a house because my dad had moved to a different store location, so he moved into a whole different house or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Um, and um, there was one night that I just vaguely remember um, that I vaguely remember like something like grabbing towards me or something similar to that,
What?
and I screamed. Um, and I remember my parents came in or whatever like that, and I was fine after that. But um, it was what was really weird about that house is that it felt like I would have constant nightmares in that room, um, and uh, and just there was always some weird stuff going on in that room.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was any sort of things that happened in that house at any point in time in the past, but I just know that like I never was truly like settled while we were there. We didn't stay in that house for that long. We ended up moving to a whole different place. I think it's because we had other issues with that house, um, but yeah, it was that was something that kind of freaked me out. And like I said, I think it was probably one of the big things that kind of kept my fear of the dark for the longest time.
Yeah. Um, that is understandable. And you remind me of something. It's weird how we can remember that when we're really young.
Hmm.
Um, the house that I grew up in before we moved to Texas. We moved when I was 5, and we were living up here in Kansas before that. And I had something similar, man. I would have some weird dreams, and it was like stuff that I was too young to have gotten from pop culture
Yeah.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Like very vividly remember this dream where I was just like laying in my crib. It makes me wonder if I was living in Texas and had this dream from
Mhm.
about my bedroom in Kansas, maybe. But regardless, I was still young. I know I wasn't in my double digits yet whenever I had this dream.
Yeah.
But it was like this portal opening on one side and these like they look like little flying goblins almost were
Mhm.
coming out and just laughing at me. And I was like, "Why are you laughing at me?"
Mhm.
And it was very much like, yeah, I don't know, kind of I, I'm not well, I don't mean to get too deep on this, but like we a lot, so we can grow up to be really hard on ourselves trying to reach an accomplishment
Mhm.
or achieve our goals or live up to expectations, whatever have you. I felt that in that moment, and I was really young, and I felt like,
Mm.
why are you laughing at me? Why am I not good enough? That kind of a thing. It was
Mm.
weird, man.
That is weird.
And that to this day would be one of the scariest dreams I've had. Like for real. I don't really have, that kind of stuff, but that was one that was weird. And so it was like I said, very vivid. It was almost like my eyes were open. I was just seeing this happen in the
Hmm.
bedroom, you know. But obviously, yeah, it was a dream. But anyway, what you said reminded me of that. But do you have any
Yeah.
others though?
So the other one, which I feel like a lot of people have kind of experienced this in at least one point in their life, but it was when it was my first and I think really and truly like the only time that I've ever had this. But it was sleep paralysis.
Oh wow.
Um, it was way back when I think I was maybe 15, 16, something like that. And at that time, I was still pretty afraid of the dark. So I actually kind of slept with the lamp on. And um, I remember that I woke like on my side, right? But my eyes were just ever so slightly open. And I didn't have because I know that I've heard like some people say like, oh yeah, it felt like something was on their chest or something like that. I didn't have any of that.
Okay.
It just like I literally could not move,
Dang.
and and the and my eyes were just cracked open. So of course I've I've read about a lot of stuff about it, and most people are saying that one of the weirdest things about sleep paralysis is that in some ways the center that essentially is a part of the dreaming process is
Hmm.
still very active
Oh,
when
okay.
you're in that state.
Weird.
And so that is the reason, at least that is probably one of the theorized reasons why people have such vivid kind of like hallucinations in some ways when you're in that state, is because your
Interesting.
brain is still essentially dreaming, but you're awake ish. Your consciousness is awake enough to
Yeah.
where it can see essentially out. Um, but so in that scenario, in like just the corner of my eye, I saw something like slowly kind of come towards me. Um, and I couldn't move, I was just trying to whatever. And so I had to kind of like almost like do like a one, two, three, like multiple times. It almost felt like in my brain, I imagined like me trying to bust down the door. And that was essentially to get my body to move.
Oh yeah.
And so
Wow.
it was just like, I had to do that like multiple times, and eventually that just kind of like woke me up or whatever. And then there was nothing
Wow.
around or whatever like that. But it was probably one of the creepiest kind of deals that I've experienced. It felt so real.
Yeah. That's crazy. I swear we don't script this stuff. If you're you're a listener or watching, consider I was just bringing up something similar. It sounds very similar, honestly, as to
Mhm.
why it was so vivid in my bedroom. But yeah, I was having these weird, like, yeah, hallucinations, from
Mhm.
dreaming. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the brain. Um, but yeah, that those are definitely spooky times, man.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so I don't know. I actually, well, before I get into that, I wanted to ask you this. Um, okay, so on the side of somebody grabbing you,
Mhm.
right? Do you feel like that was real? Do you feel
I
like that?
don't
Okay,
I don't feel like it, because especially because I think I was maybe 4 around that time, 4 or 3. I think,
yeah,
and you have overactive imaginations at that time.
sure,
Um, I don't feel like it was real, but every time that I think back at it, it felt real,
yeah, I get that. I get where you're coming
you
from with
know?
that. And that's kind of like the dream that I gave you too. I I genuinely don't feel like my story with the spirit walking the hall or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't feel like that was real. I genuinely do think that this dude was putting something extra in these drinks because he wasn't always telling us what they were. He was just telling us what it would taste like.
Mhm. And that's a
And
red flag.
yes, it is. And yeah, it was something really sketchy about that. In fact, I feel like one drink he had to go back and find. Man, perfect key of me being young and naive, like just not knowing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But perfect example, I mean to say. But I mean, I literally had just found out about that story, that ghost story with that hotel on the way
Mhm.
up there. And I think it was that night, this happened. So I do think that was an hallucination
Yep.
on both
Yeah.
of our parts, whatever it was. Maybe it was absinthe. Maybe that was what he gave us. Oh, it's like that. No, it actually was.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that. I don't know, but there was something weird with that bartender for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. And the fact that you never saw him again, which was extra weird.
Yeah,
But
I know, and I want to find out what that place was called. But yeah, this kind of brings me to um wow, there's an Excelsior Springs serial killer is um wow. That's crazy, man. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, yeah, there was a serial killer up there, man.
oh, that's terrifying.
Man, it could be the guy. I
Could be.
don't know, man. That's crazy. But I do want to find out what this resort was called though. But this kind of brings me to it's called the Elms, man.
The
Um
elms.
yeah, the Elms Hotel and Spa really sounds like a perfect. This literally just is a perfect setup for like a the one with Jack Nicholson. It's like that type of
Mm.
that type of a movie.
Oh, yeah. Like The Shining.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So, okay, according to this, it falls. This is interesting, dude.
Mm.
Wow. Maybe I
What's that?
did see the spirit, man.
Uh-oh.
According to AFAR magazine, which I've absolutely never heard of, but I
Yep.
guess
Don't know anything about that.
yeah, but it looks like a travel magazine. The 7 most
Uh-huh.
haunted hotels in America. Number 1 is the Chateau Marmont, which let's see, all kinds of crazy stuff here. I feel like there was something weird. Oh yeah, Al Franken claims he saw John Belushi's ghost in there. Um, but the Elms Hotel and Spa is number 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, the number 2 most haunted hotel in America. Let me read this to you guys real fast. Um, Elms Hotel and Spa in Excelsior Springs, which is about a half-hour drive northeast from Kansas City. Yada yada. Um, Yeah, so they claimed they had curative springs there, so that was what the draw was. That's what it's called, Excelsior Springs. Even the
Mhm.
power to heal the old TB, man, tuberculosis. Uh,
Oh, man.
I know. So President Harry Truman even came there, man.
Mm.
That's crazy.
We got famous people right there.
You got famous people. So the hotel burned down initially in 1898, but was rebuilt in 1909. But it burned down again the next year in 1910.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but was restored the next year using salvaged limestone. Um, so let's see. Yeah, underwent $20 million renovation in 2012. So it was still pretty fresh when I was going there in 2017.
Mhm.
Um, oh, it was purchased by Hyatt in 2019. That's really wild.
Oh,
Anyway,
that is.
it gained a reputation as an illicit speakeasy, so that was a real speakeasy in the 1920s. Um, Al Capone and Bugsy Moran frequented the place. That's crazy. Uh,
Yeah. Got
and
some rich history right there.
yeah, they're said to have held illegal gambling and gin parties on the premises. There is a Capone suite. I do remember that. I didn't know why. I thought that they were just playing into like a stereotype, with the
Mhm.
speakeasy and whatnot.
Mhm.
Um, this is interesting. The legendary mob boss liked being able to easily see who was arriving at the property and quickly duck out the back door if he needed to. So that's why it's only on the second floor. Wow.
Okay.
Okay, so said to be haunted by several different ghosts. When I read it, it was only on their website. So on their website, they actually mention it, but they only say one friendly spirit. Of course, they're not going to
Okay.
mention all
See,
of it.
exactly. I'm not gonna mention the other ones.
Yeah. So it was featured on Ghost Hunters in 2013. Um, all of the spirits on the property, however, are friendly for the most part. Rumor has it that one ghost started the fires. Both of them, both the fires were started by the same.
What?
Apparently, he's just been chilling for the last 100 years. Doesn't feel like starting a fire. But
Yeah, he got
uh,
tired.
some of the most frequently spotted. Oh, bro, this gonna freak me out, man.
Oh no.
Oh man, what? Some of the most frequent. Hold up. Some of the most frequently spotted apparitions include a gambler dressed in Prohibition era style clothing that hangs
Mhm.
out near the lap pool, which we were in this lap pool. It is so cool. It is like underground, and
Mhm.
there's limestone pillars in the middle of it that you go around. It's so cool, and we were the only ones in there, and we kept hearing a noise. We were like, what is that?" So that's
Mm.
um but let's see. And a housekeeper wearing an old-fashioned uniform. Hell no, that's what I saw, bro. Oh my god. Wait,
Oh man, bro.
what would you call a housekeeper in an old-fashioned uniform? I mean, what does that look like?
I don't know. Maybe like a maid's outfit or something.
Yes. I mean, that to me could be a number of different. Oh my god. But if it's something like this, hold up, I'm gonna pop it up.
Okay.
Share the screen. If it's something like this right here,
Oh man,
that's what I saw, bro. I told you it was a figure in all white.
that's scary, man.
Oh man, it does say lab coat, so I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it could be though the other one with the white gown
yeah,
or the kind of like the white apron.
I definitely didn't see that. It would have been something more all white. I don't know. Now
Okay.
we're getting into some weird stuff here.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. So that's kind of wild. Um. Oh no.
Oh man, bro, you ended the live
Oh
stream
gosh darn it,
for
bro.
our peoples. But hey, guess what? We're still on YouTube. So
Oh no. How do I do this?
um are
Oh no, man. I'm
you
so
able to restart?
I do.
Well, for our viewers who are still on YouTube, um we accidentally ended the live stream on the for the Facebook for our
Oh, no.
Facebook folks.
I'm so
Um,
bumped out of the shared screen. I hit in. Oh my gosh,
we're gonna see if we can get it back.
that was such a slip up, man. Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
it's all good. It's all good. It happens.
Can you transfer the YouTube stream over if I create a new thing for us?
Uh, yeah, I sure
You can.
can. I sure
Okay.
can.
So you can keep it going. You don't have to kill it.
Well, I'll probably have to kill it,
Oh,
most
well
likely.
then.
Well, no, I can transfer it over. I can transfer it over, so that'll
Okay.
be fine.
Okay. Well,
I just have to get stuff prepared.
okay.
So
Um,
as you guys can see, we're having small technical difficulties, but it's all good.
gosh, I'm so sorry, guys. This was a killer episode. um, okay, pardon the pun. Okay, I'm gonna hit leave studio here. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So yeah, give me ready whenever uh, whenever you're done.
I'll
I
send
guess
you that link.
whenever you move over to the next spot,
Yeah,
just
I'll
get
send you.
to it. Yeah, send me it, and then I can get it all set up. So yeah, for our YouTube audience, it looks like I'm having some weird choppiness, but we are right now trying to do a switcheroo. We're switching over to um, the other side of the to the next stream. So we'll see how this goes. John's going to get everything set up for us, and then we're going to jump right on over. But while I've got you, go ahead and since our YouTube audience, go ahead and if you're watching this right now, you can go ahead and pop something in the chat about like say scary stories that you've had, or even you can pop it into the comments of the video even afterwards. Um, and kind of talk about like yeah your scary stories or even just um, creepy moments in your life. I mean, it's our Halloween episode, so we're trying to keep it up like that. But it's so interesting because of um, different experiences that we have in our lives. And yeah, when you really think about it, like kind of what we were starting to allude to back in the day was that maybe some of those ghost stories that they had were nothing more than different hallucinations. So, all right, I'm jumping back into the studio, guys. So we'll give it a second here. I'm going to actually end up transferring us over to the next spot. So you'll have to hang in there with me. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to transfer us over here. Oh, it's all good, bro. It's all good. Um, let's see. Get us set up on the other side. So you guys are actually getting the movie magic behind the scenes on how we get it all set up. All right, guys. So, we should let me check over on the YouTube stream so you guys can see exactly how we do it, how it looks for you guys.
Looking good.
So there's a couple of bars, but you know what? It's okay. We're all right. I
All
can
right.
fix that later.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump back into it.
Okay, here we go. And don't hit that button. We're back. Man,
We are
I'm
back.
gonna share this again. Gosh darn it! You know, it'd be really nice if they just let you go live again from that
It
same place.
it would be lovely. It would be
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah. So, my apologies, guys. I was trying to close out the screen sharing, and I totally just destroyed the live stream instead. So, apologies. I hope that you guys will jump back on and stick with us on this one. Anyway, my guy, what I was going to say to you after
Mhm.
checking out how haunted that, let me just count myself in for audio purposes too. We'll do 3, 2, 1. Man, so that, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that it's a haunted hotel
Mhm.
and all of that. My thing is, okay, I I don't believe that I actually saw a ghost that night. I think this bartender, man, he was sketchy, like I said. And I'm not sure because, like I said, you have, hey, have you ever tried absinthe before? No. Well, this is kind of like that. Oh, really? Kind of like the one thing that makes people hallucinate? I don't know. And this really goes into the next topic that I want to talk about
Mhm.
in honor of Halloween. Are ghosts real, man? Are spirits like that real?
Mhm.
I
That's a good question.
I think no. And I don't know. It's interesting because, like I said earlier, like I said off the top, people who say that to people who believe in ghosts, the ghost believers like, oh, but you believe in angels, but you don't believe in ghosts. Two completely separate things, right?
Mhm.
It's kind of like how Zeus is not Apollo and Apollo is not Jesus, right?
Yeah.
You know, like not the same thing at all. So that's usually the counter argument, but I think it comes from the belief standpoint. You know, why do you believe that angels are real, but you don't believe that ghosts are, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of that, um, it doesn't make sense for something to just randomly hover around the earth, you know, and never go
Mhm.
anywhere from that, like, and never leave that area. There's some mystical curse that prevents this ghost from leaving the hotel that it burned down twice.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me. And my other thing is this: anytime that I've heard a ghost story from somebody, when they, not when they told it to me, but when they were in the moment,
Mhm.
they were not sober ever, ever. I wasn't
Mhm.
sober with that one I told you, you know?
Mhm.
And that's my thing. So I'm gonna tell this other ghost story, but it's not mine. It's somebody that I used to work with. We know him, we love him. He was one of my managers when I worked at AutoZone. um, and this guy was a character, and he loved telling stories. But he tells me this whole story, right?
Mhm.
Because I think I said something to this effect: I don't believe in ghosts, right?
Mhm.
And he was like, "Bro, I've experienced them firsthand." You know, blah, blah. I ain't tripping.
Mhm.
So anyway, he go he told me this story that there was some building. He and his friends were on a road trip, or not a road trip, sorry. They were driving and they were just
Mhm.
driving all around, and it was like around Halloween, and they were like looking for spooky stuff. But they found this building that was like this abandoned building,
Mhm.
and he man, it literally is the way he told me the story. He goes in this building, they break into it. His brother broke into it. They all hopped this fence, and I was like, "Bro, you ain't hopping anything. I know that." But but like they all hop this fence, and they're in there, and the door shuts behind them, and all of a sudden they said it went from hot to like freezing cold. The whole temperature changed. And he tried to justify this to me by explaining that a spirit can control that. Okay.
Mhm.
Can make dramatic temperature adjustments. And he said, like, he turned around and he watched his brother and I think his cousin try to reach for the door, but they got stopped in place. And they were frozen there for a second. And it was like a minute. And all of a sudden, everything lifted, everything went back to normal, and they just left and they ran out of there, right?
Mhm.
And he was like, I know it was haunted. And I was asking him details about it because I'm questioning him because I don't believe it. So I'm kind of like trying to find the lie.
Yeah.
And he goes, Oh, I don't remember that detail, man. I was like, How do you not remember that detail? He goes, Well, I was high on speed at the time. I was like,
High
uh,
on speed.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, Huh.
I'm
Now
starting
I
to see
don't.
some puzzle pieces start to connect.
Yeah. Which largely result in me not believing a dang thing that you say. you know,
Uh-huh.
at all. I was like, okay, so this was all an hallucination because typically what I've experienced in life is if somebody's willing to tell you that they were high on something,
Mhm.
they've done or were doing at that time worse. It's typically the thing they don't tell you that was actually feeding into that, right?
That's true. That's true.
Um, and so yeah, I don't know. These are typically the circumstances. I would love to hear people's thoughts in the comments, and see what they have to say. I personally, man, I don't believe in ghosts. That's why never experienced it firsthand. Again, I do genuinely believe that was a weird hallucination by some sketchy drinks that was being poured when I
Mhm.
experienced that. And I've never experienced anything like it before since. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of feel the same. Because I feel like I've seen a lot of reports, especially when it's like back in the day, um, that people might have been on um some sort of hallucinogen or drugs or something similar to that. Now, I'll say for the things that people aren't essentially a part of, like they're sober for. Like I've seen like some of the ghost hunter shows or whatever like that. I think when you're in a building where you kind of already know that it's supposed to be haunted or something similar to that, and you're just in a very dark place, and it feels kind of spooky or whatever like that, I think your brain kind of takes over at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's similar to like one of the main reasons why I don't like watching scary movies is because I know my brain. It's even if a movie's not super scary to me, my brain will amplify those fears after
Absolutely.
the movie, and amplify it to a point where I'll have nightmares or I can't even get to sleep,
Yeah.
um, because I think I'm seeing things or I think I'm hearing things or whatever. So I think that also can feed into it.
I agree. I'm not a fan of scary movies either, which I know we'll get into here in a second. But you know, the thing for me is really twofold. One, you're right. You're looking for something that's not honestly there, or it could be, but you're already playing in your mind. And then the other part of it is you have this. Well, it's kind of like when you see people chase UFOs, right?
Yeah.
Tracking UFOs or tracking Bigfoot, right? They're already looking for this thing. My biggest thing is if you're looking say you have a show called Ghost Hunters, right? Because this
Yeah.
actually is a strong counter argument that I get a lot too, right? What do you do if you show up at a haunted place and nothing haunted happens
Yeah.
on camera?
Exactly.
You have to plant some stuff, and they make TV seasons out of this show. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thing. I don't know. Raul is jumping on the comments here. Good to see
Mm-hmm.
you. Uh,
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row. Great to see you.
Always
Uh,
good to see Raul.
yeah. Says, I don't mind ghost stories. I just despise the people, and in parentheses, put mediums, who
Mm-hmm.
prey on the people who think they can speak to the dead, exploiting their grief for profit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that is a great angle on that. That is actually not too dissimilar to something Denison and I were talking about before we went live, but just exploiting people's fears
Mm-hmm.
or emotional trauma or anything. Um, you know what's crazy to me about that is people are so desperate to believe in something that they'll believe that they can talk to their dead aunt or what have you,
Yeah.
and they'll pay somebody to speak to them, and they're like, oh yeah, man, they really they're craving a cheeseburger right now. um they missed their Shelby GT500.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they're telling me that you should tip me a little bit more, but that's, you don't have to. It's just your dead uncle told me to tell you that, so whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Like,
want to respect their wishes.
yeah, I mean, if you don't want to disrespect them, you should tip me, but I get it. It's up to you. Just stuff like that. And yeah, yeah, I think honestly, like, these are the things that you see people take advantage of because it's not something you can visibly see, right? It's something that's
Mm-hmm.
unseen. And so, I don't want to get into like a religious argument, counter argument with this discussion,
Yeah.
because I mean, I think that that's separate from what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? But I think that is an interesting observation I've made anyway, that people won't believe in one thing they can't see, but yet millions of people do. There's millions of testimonies there, this and that, but they will believe in the theory of ghosts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that to me is interesting, and I wouldn't approach it that way. Um Personally, because for every good thing there's got to be something bad, and just vice versa, for every bad thing there's got to be something good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, you can't just be talking about having ghosts haunt you. I mean, you could say there's spirits from both sides of the coin, right? you know
Yeah.
but I don't think that we just have a bunch of ghosts with self-interests just hanging out, what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Imagine being a ghost, right? You're a ghost and you're chilling,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh man, I want to be seen so bad. I'm going to just make this guy think he saw me for a second and disappear forever. Then I'll be
Mm-hmm.
good. Like, what joy? What's the joy from that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what are you gaining?
I don't, because
Yeah.
ghosts are people too, man. Ghosts have
Yeah.
rights.
I mean, well, and you also have the thought process of, because I know, I think some people usually will say, like, the reason why ghosts stay around is because um they have unfinished business or something similar to that.
Right.
Um but I feel like the problem with that is that, like, I feel like they would know what their unfinished business is,
Yeah.
or they'd be able to work apart towards that or something similar to that. But I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there's something else that I'm not getting. I'm not a ghost expert or anything
No.
like that, but I know that is something that they talk about as well. So
We definitely ain't afraid no ghosts, though. I will say that.
yeah.
Um, Raul, he says, why is at the end of every searching for Bigfoot episode they never find him?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they gotta have another season somehow, right? What I bet there are some conspiracy theorists out there that say, "Oh, they found him. They just let him go because they have to keep the show going somehow."
Yeah,
Oh,
hey, I wouldn't be surprised, you know?
yeah. Oh,
Gotta
you
make that money somehow.
if you're searching for Bigfoot and you catch him,
Mhm.
man, you just rebrand the show. Talking with Bigfoot. Like you're gonna interview this man and be like, "Hey, what was it like being hopping from tree to tree for years?"
Yeah. Put them in a zoo, man, and charge people.
Yeah, it's like King Kong, man. Yeah, I don't know. So, um, yeah, these are just thoughts that I had based off of stories that we shared earlier. Well, in part one of this episode.
Mhm.
Um, and so before I accidentally cut us off here, but regardless of that, I wanted to jump in. You mentioned movies, right?
Mhm.
I think it's be funny. I want to know what everybody's thinking. Jump in on the comments. But scariest movie that what was no, not this. Okay, we'll do that. We will do scariest movie.
Mhm.
What was the first movie you watched that scared you?
Mm. That is a great question. What was the first so,
Let's know in the comments too. Like I said, what's the first movie you watched that scared you?
exactly. Yeah, let us know. For me, that's a hard one because my mom loves scary movies. So,
Okay.
um so it's hard to remember exactly which one really that I remember vividly when I was a kid. I remember there was one that really terrified me. It was called Ghost Ship.
Okay.
Um, it was. I'm sure it wasn't like a super, popular movie or anything like that, but
Okay.
essentially it was like these. They were these treasure hunters, I think, or something similar to that.
Sure.
Um, and so what they found was they found a boat that was haunted. Or no, that it wasn't a haunted boat, but it was just a boat, just kind of floating out in the middle of nowhere because they found it for like some satellites shots or whatever. And so they went onto the boat and they found out it was haunted, and so it was like terrorizing them, and like the ghosts were trying to kill them. Um,
Yeah.
so it was interesting, but that just kind of creeped me out and freaked me out. So,
I
but you
know.
know what? Actually, I think the first true movie that scared me was The Mummy.
Okay. The not the original one, but the one with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, not the super old one with the bandages, but yeah, the one with Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that movie's creepy though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was looking up Ghost Ship, and I don't really. I kind of recognize some of these actors, but
Hmm.
mainly the biggest one is Carl Urban. He was in Thor, the third Thor. He was in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, The Boys. He was in Star Trek. He played who is that? Wait, who's Leonard McCoy? Oh yeah. So anyway, um, but yeah, so that was like the only person I recognized from that movie. Also, Raul said, "Thank you. I just found my new podcast, Talking to Bigfoot." Me talking to Bigfoot, he just grunts every answer. No one can understand him, dude. I love that idea. That would be
Yeah,
so.
I love that as well. I think that'd be awesome.
It's like you're talking to a Pokemon or something. It just grunts, and you're like, "Oh yeah, no, you make a good point."
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
idea.
Don't worry,
Uh,
I've been studying Bigfoot for years, so
yeah,
I can
I've
uh, I can communicate.
I speak big fush, big Fushin, bro. Yeah. Um. So okay. That's an interesting one. I'm gonna actually say one that's even more stupid.
Mm,
Uh, my first movie that scared me was the Scooby Doo film.
like
Came out the
when
same year as Ghost Ship. Fun fact.
Interesting. Okay, so the one that was like way back in the day, with
Yes.
the live action one, right?
Yeah. So, yes, it was live action. The dog was animatronic, right?
No, Scooby was he was he was CG.
Oh, CGI.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, he was
Well,
CGI.
um, was it the second one? It might have been the second one that came out in 2004. I think it was the second one. Yeah, because like the souls of the monsters would leave them and then like possess the characters.
That one was creepy. I'm not even gonna lie, that was creepy.
Yeah. So it was the second one then. Yeah. As a
Well,
10-year old.
the first one was that one.
Oh, it was the first one. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was because it was possessing all the islanders. The monsters were hiding in the people
That's right. Yeah.
and their
Yeah. Yeah.
bodies because they couldn't deal with the sunlight. It
Right.
was
Okay.
weird, man. Such a fever dream kind of a movie,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Stupid, stupid movie. You know what's funny is it gets 4.6 stars. That old film.
Hmm,
Um,
okay.
that one as an 8-year-old kid, especially that creeped me out. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. That really did. So I would say a long time went by where I really didn't watch anything that scared me.
Mhm. Same.
But I Am Legend, the first time I watched it, freaked me out, man.
That was creepy, man. That was a creepy movie.
Yeah, and now I will say is one of my favorites, like one of my all-time favorite movies.
Same.
And I think that the story that it tells and the importance of that sort of inner strength that he had, just hope, and hope too. That was really the main thing is hope that there was someone else out there, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's amazing. But yeah, that movie, being 15, I saw it came out Thanksgiving weekend. And I remember that because I was up here. I was still living in Texas at the time, but I was up here visiting
Mhm.
in Kansas. And yeah, it was like it was Black Friday, I think. It was snowy out, man. I was scared. That movie scared me to death, man. But I would say I don't know. I don't really watch scary movies, so I don't really know. You know what? I'll say this. So I don't really watch like horror films or whatever.
Mhm.
But really the things that scare me when it comes to, Halloween or scary movies are the psychological stuff. Um for example, Interstellar freaked me out
Mhm.
because of the idea that was all based off of scientific theory.
Mhm.
The idea of the world coming to an end because of climate change disaster and him going through this wormhole where basically he's the same age but his daughter is now way older than him.
Yep.
Those kind of things freak me out more than I watched Scream a couple months ago, the new one.
Mhm.
The absolute dumbest movie I've ever seen, dude. It was so freaking stupid. It was just so dumb.
Yeah.
And with those, I'm like, why do y'all even take the time to make it? And what's weird is too, I actually do like classic horror films. We're talking werewolf stuff, Werewolf in London, great movie.
Mhm.
Um, I love, like Dracula kind of stuff. I love King Kong. Peter Jackson's King Kong, I know wasn't really meant to be scary necessarily, but I love that movie. That movie was
Yeah.
great.
That was a good movie.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I really don't know that I could give you anything outside of that. There's nothing really um that does that to me. It's
Mm.
more like the brain kind of stuff um that freaks me out. And really the scientific, I would say, okay, actually I'll give you one. Alien
Mhm.
movies.
Oh, yeah. Those were really creepy.
Not the Alien franchise.
Oh, you're just saying alien movies in general.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that movie Life with Jake Gyllenhaal, never watched it. I don't want
Mm.
to watch it. That movie would scare the crap out of me. That movie would scare the crap out of me, bro, because it's just this little like single cell organism that they find that's
Yeah,
life
I
in space.
remember I watched that one. That was creepy.
You watched it. You watched the whole thing.
I did. I did.
I was literally freaked out by the trailer. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, we watched it. And yeah, it was a creepy movie, man. It really was. Another one was The Fourth Kind. That was a creepy alien movie.
Yeah. But oddly enough, Close Encounter of the Third Kind is not a creepy movie.
No, no, that's not bad.
It's just like a classic movie.
Yeah.
What makes it the fourth kind?
Um, I think The Fourth Kind is abduction.
Oh. Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that would freak me out. Um I think, man, alien movies, because I know there are some that people on here would relate to that genuinely.
Signs was a scary movie for me when I was a kid. I remember that.
Okay, I could see that as a kid, but what an absolutely phenomenal film. What a great movie, man.
Mhm.
You know? I love that movie so much. That movie's
Mhm. There were
um
some things that were a little disbeliefy, but
I mean, yeah, well, okay. The way that the alien died, yes.
yes,
Of course, but that wasn't the point. The point was how he found his faith. That whole movie was about signs from God,
it was. It
you know.
was. The newest, well, I wouldn't say newest, but newish, War of the Worlds.
With Tom Cruise. That one's a little freaky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that
was
one.
that was a little freaky. That kind of got me.
Yeah. Okay, actually speaking of Tom Cruise films, this came out, man, maybe I was still in high school, but Oblivion. That is a great
Oh.
example of something that would freak me out because it's such a sci-fi plot twist. It just mangled my mind. Uh,
Mm. I know Chappie got you.
Chappie, dude. Oh, see, okay, these are great things. Actually, these are really great things. These are the type of things that freak me out.
Hmm.
Um, when you find belief in this character in Oblivion, just feel like realize that he's one of thousands of clones of himself because the original
Hmm.
one was killed in the invasion.
Spoiler
Uh,
alert.
Spoiler alert. But Chappie, too, for them to upload their minds to these robot bodies, that
Hmm.
freaked me out. Transcendence, a great example of that too. Johnny Depp movie
Oh
where
yeah.
he honestly has really ill intentions because he's kind of power hungry, and so he uploads his brain before he dies
Hmm.
and basically becomes evil. And he thinks that the right thing to do is to replicate himself in every human around the world. You
Yep.
know,
Exactly.
that movie freaks me out. Yes, that probably is the list right there. That's probably the list. Um,
Yeah. Anything dealing with robots and taking over humanity or something like that, I know that usually kind of creeps you out.
yeah. Well,
Um,
and not iRobot. That didn't get me. Like iRobot's good.
no, I wasn't. That wasn't scary.
No, that's a good movie.
Hmm.
Raul sent us a link here. What movies should you watch? It's Halloween. A horror scholar shares her favorites. Um,
No, that's interesting.
yeah. So no, I agree um, with you that some of these. Oh, this is a full on interview here. Um, okay, gotcha. Okay, this is an NPR interview. Yeah, we'll have to check this out.
Yeah,
Uh,
this looks like a good one.
yeah. So I mean that's a great example of what you said there. Um, it was a different. Oh my gosh.
I watched Chucky for the first time actually last week, which was interesting.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Isn't Chucky supposed to be a comedy?
No, no, I think at least when it first came out, it wasn't supposed to be a comedy. It was a horror movie.
Okay.
Um, but then because it was called Child's Play, it was the actual movies thing.
Right. Right.
Um, but later on, it kind of devolved into a kind of like a horror comedy type
Yeah.
deal.
It's kind of like a meme of
Yeah.
itself, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's a great one. Okay, movie that it's very picky. This is why I try to explain to people. I don't really have a rhyme or reason like The Abyss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but alien sci-fi horror because
I
aliens. What's
haven't
that?
seen that one actually.
Yeah, so aliens are living in the abyss. They end up finding it. Um, it's a great movie. It's a
Mm.
really good movie. Um, Avatar freaked me out because that dude said, "You know what? Screw my human life. I'm gonna be a blue person and just mate with this dude, mate with this chick with my hair." You know?
Exactly, man.
Yeah, yeah. Don't like that. Never seen Arrival. I think that would probably freak me out. Um, the original Aliens I watched just last year. Loved it.
Hmm.
But
Great
Prometheus,
film, but it is
yeah,
creepy.
it is creepy, but I didn't mind it. But Prometheus, which came out just a couple of years ago, which is like Alien 5, I guess.
Hmm. Well, no,
That
it's a. I thought Prometheus was a prologue to the
oh yeah.
Alien series.
Yep. Yep, you're right. And they could do that because Charlize Theron never ages.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You're right. That is exactly right. Oh, here's a good one though. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That would freak me out.
Yeah.
It's basically like that something taking over your body kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Not- Oh, okay. This is the top of or probably yeah the end all of the list. Uh, what was that movie called? It was called Upgrade. Yeah.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, that one really freaked you out.
Oh man, it freaked me out, man. So Upgrade, I went and watched, and this okay, I'm gonna explain this one. This is a good actual horror story, I think, for us to end on.
Hmm.
Um, so watching I see all these previews, I see all these trailers for Upgrade, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what it's about, and spoiler alert, but also no worries. I doubt many of y'all are going to watch it because it was a low budget film. And I
Hmm.
didn't know that. But I'm telling you, every time I got on YouTube, I saw ads for this thing. I wasn't watching stuff that would make that tailored to me.
Hmm.
And so I'm watching this, and long story short, uh, this guy is kind of anti-technology. He works
Hmm.
on so old cars, gas powered cars. This is in the 2040 or something like that. So gas powered cars are only owned by the rich at this point, and they're kind of like antiques. So this guy has a '69 Camaro, and he's a tech genius, right? Now this the main character's wife is a tech genius as well. So she
Hmm.
knows who this client is, right? But the main character is fixing this car. They end up leaving. They're in their self-driving autonomous vehicle,
Hmm.
and it gets hacked and driven off the road onto this harbor and then or on this pier, I mean to say, and then it rolls multiple times.
Hmm.
That already freaks me out because I can see that happening,
Yeah.
right? But it rolls multiple times. They climb out. Bad guys kill his wife, shoot her dead,
Hmm.
and shoot him in the neck, right?
Hmm.
Wakes up in a hospital. He's paralyzed. Wants to go like kill himself, all this kind of stuff. It's really sad. But uh, he ends up, the tech genius guy hears about his bad luck,
Hmm.
brings him back, and he says, I have this technology that I think will help you. It's a nano chip that I can put in your vertebrae,
Hmm.
and it will reconnect your brain to your body, right?
Hmm.
So he does it and it ends up working. And then at one point in this very funny scene, he hears his voice in his head and he's like, what was that? And he starts freaking out. And it's the nano chip talking to him, right? And so they start working together
Hmm.
to find a way to get vengeance. Okay. And I didn't realize this, but this was produced or directed by the guy who did the Saw films. Okay.
Okay.
So um, he ends up going to kill these bad guys, right? And this is very long story short. It's brutal killings. And there was this point where the AI in the chip is like, can I have control of your arms? And he goes, I don't know, blah, blah. He goes, you have to tell me yes for me to take control of your arms. So he gives him permission, right? Now he
Mhm.
gives control back, but this nano chip is basically controlling his body to kill these things, okay?
Yeah.
Long story short, what you end up finding out toward the end is that the nano chip is actually the AI that's running the tech company. The CEO guy is not even running the tech company. He's being held hostage by the AI.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and the AI planned everything that happened in that movie to happen so it could take control of the guy's body, okay, of the main character's body, because it
Wow.
just wanted to be human the whole time. Which,
Mhm.
what was extra freaky about that is no one else had seen the trailers or the advertisements for this movie. No one, just me. It was like it was like an AI was targeting me to come see the movie, right?
Mhm.
And the very end of the movie, there's this officer that suspected something was weird, but didn't know what was going on. Technically, the main character didn't know what was going on, but the tech genius was in there. This officer was in there, and some other person was in there as well. And the robot's trying to kill them because there'd be
Mhm.
no evidence after that. But the main character is fighting him and like pulling this gun up towards his head, and you hear this bang, flashes white. All of a sudden, he's laying in bed with his wife again. You're like, what just happened? Then it's that like there's a scene with that, but then it flashes back out, and then the AI voice is speaking through the body now. And it's like I had to break his mind before I could get full control. And then just shoots everybody dead in that room and walked off. And that was the end of the movie.
Wow.
That stuff freaks me out, man. That stuff scares me. Because like to me, it's based in something, it's the foundation of it is something believable. You know, it gets taken to another level from there. But yeah, that stuff freaks me out, man.
I know that usually does that stuff is I mean, it's creepy, right? It's very similar to it's essentially, the fear of our own technology or our own hubris essentially turning against us.
Yeah,
Um Things that we've created taking over um is I mean, it's a terrifying idea.
yeah, it really is, and that is kind of where it comes from for me, right? So,
Yeah.
speaking of, it is Halloween day. By the time the recorded audio goes
Yeah.
live,
Mhm.
and if I remember right, speaking of all of this, very very interesting tie-in. Elon Musk is supposed to announce something with Neuralink, which is his neurally implanted or microchip that's supposed to help improve function within the human brain and body.
Mhm.
So kind of weird, but it seems like this movie is coming to life. Um, and I don't love that he's playing to the stereotype of it being on Halloween, but here we are. So we will definitely have to talk about that the following week.
Mhm.
And offer our thoughts on it. So stay tuned on that. But yeah, I think we had a good discussion on this. I definitely hiccuped the live stream there for a moment, and I apologize on that. But thankfully, people jumped in on round two of it as well.
Mhm.
Um, but thank you if you're listening on the audio platforms. We appreciate you just as much. Be sure to leave a rate and review. Let us know how we're doing. And you can jump on our live streams with us as well to interact with us in real time, as we have a few people do tonight. I'm very appreciative of that. And then if you want to support us beyond that, well, send us an email, right? Send us an email. We haven't talked about the
Yeah.
email yet. Send us an email at theketchupcast@gmail.com. That's theketchupcast@gmail.com.
Mhm.
And also go to our shop. It's linked wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. We have just in time for the cold weather some hats, some beanies, some hoodies, stuff to stay warm, man. So,
Mhm.
next week we will also talk about some new tech that Denson might be grabbing as well.
Who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? Be an interesting one. So, a lot to talk about. So be sure to subscribe. Thank you for catching up with us, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Oh.